It didn't begin with a headline. It didn't start with flashing cameras or a packed arena screaming his name. It began quietly, the way most meaningful moments do. On a day when the internet was already loud with breaking news, arguments, and endless scrolling, a short clip began to surface across social media. No dramatic music, no announcement, just Blake Shelton standing still, unaware that millions would soon be watching. At first, people didn't even recognize the moment for what it was. Some scrolled past it. Others paused, replayed it once, then again. Something about it felt different, honest, human. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. People weren't sharing it because it was shocking. They were sharing it because it felt rare. In a world trained to expect spectacle from celebrities, this was something else entirely. Blake Shelton has been famous for a long time, long enough to understand the noise that follows fame, long enough to know how quickly moments can be exaggerated, misunderstood, or turned into performance. But this moment didn't feel like performance at all. That's why it mattered. The footage showed him in a public place, away from stages and spotlights. No entourage pushing people back, no scripted interaction, just a simple exchange between one person and another. Someone spoke to him. Not a reporter, not a fan asking for a selfie, just someone speaking from the heart. Blake listened, and that alone was enough to stop people in their tracks. In the clip, there's a pause, a real pause, the kind you don't see in rehearsed media appearances. His expression changes, not dramatically, but subtly. His shoulders relax, his eyes soften. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't rush the moment. He lets it breathe. That pause became the heartbeat of the video. Within hours, fans started commenting not on what he said, but on how he listened. People wrote things like, "This is what kindness looks like," and "You can't fake that." Country music has always been built on storytelling, but this wasn't a song. It was life, unfolding in real time. As the clip spread, people began asking questions. Where was this filmed? Who was the person he spoke to? What exactly was said before the camera started rolling? But the most interesting question was simpler. Why did this moment hit so hard? Part of the answer lies in who Blake Shelton has been throughout his career. From small-town beginnings to global fame, his image has always carried a certain familiarity. He's been seen as approachable, grounded, someone who never fully disappeared into celebrity culture. But familiarity can become background noise over time, until something reminds people. This moment reminded them. It reminded fans that behind the awards, behind the television appearances and sold-out shows, there's still a person who understands the weight of everyday life. As more clips surfaced from different angles, it became clear this wasn't staged. There were no perfect camera placements, no cinematic framing, just shaky phone footage captured by people who happened to be there. That authenticity gave the moment power. By the end of the day, major entertainment pages were reposting it, not with flashy captions, but with simple ones. Blake Shelton, today. Nothing loud, everything meaningful. News outlets followed, but even they struggled to frame it as traditional news. There was no scandal, no controversy, no announcement of a project or tour, just a moment. And yet, it was everywhere. Experts often talk about viral moments as if they can be engineered, as if timing and algorithms alone decide what the world pays attention to. But this was proof that something deeper still exists. People are hungry for sincerity. In comment sections, fans shared their own stories about hard days, about being overlooked, about moments when someone simply listened and how that changed everything. Some said they didn't even listen to country music, but this clip made them stop scrolling. Others admitted they'd followed Blake Shelton for years, but felt like they were seeing him clearly for the first time. That's the strange magic of quiet acts. They don't announce themselves. They reveal themselves.
As the day went on, speculation grew. Some tried to turn the moment into something bigger than it was. Others tried to minimize it, calling it just basic decency. But that reaction only proved the point. Basic decency has become rare enough to feel extraordinary. By evening, Blake Shelton himself hadn't posted anything about it. No statement, no clarification, no attempt to shape the narrative. And that silence mattered too. It suggested that the moment wasn't meant for attention. It wasn't meant to be explained. It existed whether the world watched or not. That's what made it real. People often forget that celebrities experience the same human moments everyone else does. The difference is that sometimes a camera is present, and when that camera captures something unfiltered, it can cut through layers of cynicism we didn't even realize we were carrying. This moment did that. It didn't shout, it didn't demand, it simply stood there, quietly, asking people to feel something genuine again. And they did. By the time the day ended, Blake Shelton was trending across platforms, not because of a new song, not because of an interview or announcement, but because of a single human moment that reminded millions of something simple and powerful. Kindness doesn't need a microphone. It just needs to be real.
As the world caught on to the clip, reactions multiplied. What started as a few reposts from bystanders quickly became a wave of global attention. Fans, casual viewers, and even those unfamiliar with Blake Shelton began engaging with the story. People shared screenshots, rewound the clip, and posted their own experiences of moments when a small gesture had changed their day. It was remarkable how one simple, quiet act could resonate so widely. Analysts and commentators noted that Blake Shelton's moment had all the hallmarks of virality, but not in the traditional sense. It didn't rely on drama, scandal, or performance. Instead, it relied on authenticity, human connection, and relatability. The comment sections became a space for reflection rather than debate. People spoke about the rarity of being truly seen and heard in a world that often moves too fast. Many admitted that the act made them pause and think about their own interactions with others. Some expressed longing for more moments like this in their everyday lives. News outlets picked up the story, framing it not as celebrity gossip, but as a moment that transcended the ordinary. Headlines read, "Blake Shelton reminds the world what kindness looks like," and "A simple gesture by Blake Shelton captures hearts everywhere." The narrative became clear. In a culture saturated with spectacle, this moment reminded people of something basic yet profoundly impactful. Blake Shelton himself did not comment publicly. He did not post to social media or issue a statement. His silence only reinforced the authenticity of what had happened. It signaled that this moment wasn't about him, it was about the experience and the people involved. Fans across the globe reacted emotionally. Many described the moment as heartwarming, uplifting, and even life-affirming. Others noted how it contrasted sharply with the often performative nature of celebrity culture. In an era dominated by attention-seeking headlines, Blake Shelton's quiet act stood out as rare and meaningful. As the day progressed, commentators began to dissect why this resonated so deeply. Sociologists pointed out that humans are wired to notice authenticity, even in brief interactions. In a world where curated images and calculated messaging dominate, the simplest, most genuine acts can carry profound weight. The ripple effect extended beyond social media. Some radio shows and online talk programs invited fans to share their reactions. Across these conversations, a pattern emerged. The moment had inspired reflection, gratitude, and a renewed appreciation for human connection. People weren't just talking about Blake Shelton, they were talking about themselves and how small gestures can matter. This effect was compounded by the humility Blake Shelton displayed. Unlike moments staged for attention or promotion, there was no sense of performance, there was no overt attempt to go viral.
That lack of intent amplified the impact. People could sense it, and they responded. As the story continued to trend, it began to enter the cultural lexicon. Memes, quotes, and short clips appeared, all emphasizing the simplicity and humanity of the moment. Across continents and cultures, viewers recognized the universal truth behind it. Small acts of kindness resonate more than grand gestures designed for spectacle. Industry insiders remarked on how unusual this was. In an entertainment environment often driven by controversy and sensationalism, Blake Shelton's moment was a reminder that authenticity can still dominate the narrative. Some noted that moments like these, though brief, have the power to outlast traditional viral content because they touch something fundamental in people's hearts. By the end of the day, what had started as a quiet encounter became a conversation about values, presence, and connection. The clip circulated beyond fans, reaching those who rarely engaged with celebrity content. For some, it was a reminder that even amidst chaos, moments of genuine humanity can break through. And so, Blake Shelton's name remained trending, not because of a new song, an award, or a public appearance, but because one simple moment had sparked something far greater, a reflection on how we see and acknowledge each other. The moment reminded millions that presence matters, that listening matters, that even in fleeting, ordinary interactions, authenticity carries weight. It wasn't just a gesture, it was a lesson. And in a world that moves too fast, that lesson was enough to make Blake Shelton the center of attention today, reminding everyone that the simplest acts can create the most profound impact. The ripple effect continues. Stories, reflections, and reactions still appear days later. The clip has inspired discussions about human connection, kindness, and authenticity across platforms. And while the internet moves on quickly, this moment has found a place in people's hearts. Blake Shelton's quiet act proved that sometimes it isn't the loudest moments that matter, it's the ones that remind us of what we've forgotten, the power of being seen, heard, and acknowledged. And that is why Blake Shelton is trending today, not for performance, not for spectacle, but for something far more meaningful.